The Arctic winds screamed across the vast, frozen tundra, carrying shards of ice like tiny daggers through the air. A fierce blizzard loomed on the horizon, thick snow swirling like a living force. Amidst this unforgiving landscape, a young polar bear cub lay trapped in a deep glacial crevasse, its small body trembling from the cold. It had fallen while playing too close to the edge, its tiny paws slipping on the ice. Now, it lay wedged between jagged, frozen walls, too weak to call out for long. Its whimpers barely rose above the howling wind. Above, its massive mother paced frantically, her enormous paws crunching the brittle ice. She let out deep, guttural roars, desperate, echoing cries of anguish. She stretched her powerful limbs downward, claws scraping the edge, but the cub was too far. She tried again, her breath heavy with panic, but the deep chasm refused to give up her baby. The Arctic was cruel. It swallowed the weak. But this was her cub, her heart, her life. And she would not abandon it. Nearby, perched on a snow-covered ridge, a small Arctic fox watched the scene unfold. Its sharp ears perked up at the sound of the mother bear's roars, not of hunger, not of anger, but of something else. Loss. Fear. Helplessness. For a long moment, the fox hesitated. A bear was no friend to a fox. Yet, something deep inside stirred. It couldn't turn away. Then, suddenly, the fox took off, sprinting across the frozen tundra, kicking up powdery snow behind it. The fox ran like the wind, its small legs working furiously against the ice. The cold gnawed at its tiny frame, but it pushed on. Each breath came out in sharp, visible puffs, fading into the freezing air. It had seen the humans before, those creatures who built strange metal dens and flew in noisy beasts. They were dangerous, but maybe they could help. Inside a remote Arctic research station, the storm rattled the metal walls. A team of rescuers, wrapped in thick, insulated gear, huddled near a table, discussing weather patterns and migration routes. Then, a sharp, frantic barking cut through the wind. The lead rescuer, a man in an orange insulated jacket, frowned and turned toward the window. An Arctic fox stood outside, its fur speckled with ice, barking and scratching at the glass. "That's unusual," one of them muttered. The fox took a few steps away, then turned back, barking urgently. The rescuers exchanged glances. Something's wrong. Without hesitation, the team sprang into action. A bright red Arctic rescue helicopter lifted off into the stormy sky, its rotors slicing through the blizzard. As the helicopter approached the crevasse, its searchlights pierced through the swirling snow, illuminating the mother bear's massive form. She turned sharply toward the noise, her deep black eyes locking onto the approaching machine. She was terrified, but she didn't run. She was out of options. Below, the searchlight revealed the tiny form of the cub, still and barely moving. Time was running out. A rescuer rappelled down into the crevasse, gripping the ice with sharp climbing spikes. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from urgency. He reached the cub and gently touched its frozen fur. The little bear barely reacted. "Stay with me, little one," the rescuer whispered. Above, other rescuers landed, rushing to set up ropes and medical equipment. Every movement was calculated, precise. They knew that one mistake could mean the difference between life and death. The mother bear sniffed the air, her massive chest rising and falling. She took a cautious step closer, her breath visible in the cold. Then, she did something unexpected. She lowered her head. She was waiting. She was trusting them. The rescuer carefully cradled the cub, his arms wrapped securely around the fragile bundle. The little bear let out a weak, pitiful whimper as he wrapped it in a thermal blanket, sealing in what little warmth it had left. Another rescuer knelt beside him, pulling out a sterile wipe. Carefully, he dabbed at the cub's wounds, applying antiseptic to its small cuts. Above, the mother shifted her weight, her powerful frame tense with anticipation. The lead rescuer checked the cub's breathing and mobility. He exhaled sharply, relief washing over him. "He's weak, but he'll make it." The mother took another step forward, then another. Then, with surprising gentleness, she lowered her massive head and nudged her cub. The little one stirred, eyes fluttering open. A low, deep grunt rumbled from the mother's throat, soft, comforting, a sound of pure love. She had waited. She had trusted them. And now, she had her baby back. One of the rescuers reached into a pack and pulled out fresh fish, setting them carefully on the snow. The mother sniffed them, then nosed one toward her cub. The little bear, still wrapped in a blanket, weakly reached out and took a bite. The team stood back, watching in quiet awe. They had done their part. As the snow settled and the storm began to ease, the mother turned, guiding her cub forward. Slowly, carefully, They moved across the ice, their forms becoming smaller in the distance. The rescuers stood by the helicopter, watching in silence. They had witnessed something rare and beautiful, not just a rescue, but a moment of trust between species. The red helicopter lifted off, the roar of its blades carrying one final message into the Arctic sky. Not all hope is lost. And somewhere, in the white expanse, an Arctic fox trotted away, its mission complete.